right, and we're live here at the station of decapitation without your head, and I'm Nasty Neal.
That would make me terrible, Troy.
And Treacherous Trista.
Yes, and we're joined by she's from the modern day. I think this is an overused term, a modern day horror classic, but I think it's very fitting here. Of Hereditary, we have Milly Shapiro with us. It's very good to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, our first show for October.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Do you have anything cool planned for Halloween?
I think me and a few friends are gonna try to rent an Airbnb and just hang out and watch a bunch of spooky movies and have a fun Halloween.
That sounds like a good time.
Way to do it.
So were you into horror movies before the movie, before Hereditary?
I have an interesting relationship with horror. My love of horror fluctuates, which I think is a very odd thing. When I was a kid growing up, I absolutely hated horror, but as I started getting older, I started to have like a huge fascination with it. And then right before Hereditary is when I was really, really into horror. And now I'm still into it, but now I live in a dorm by myself. So I've watched a lot less horror movies. It's a lot creepier when you're just sitting in your room by yourself late at night.
Right, yeah. And it is fun to watch them with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Plus, like you said, they're there for protection.
Safety in numbers now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Was there any movies that you watched specifically when you were going to do Hereditary to like either get into the role or to the movie?
I don't know if there's anything specific. I always have a hard time remembering. I watched all of Ari's shorts though, right before I auditioned, and they're all very weird and very good. I always recommend watching them if you haven't. They're very
I actually
interesting.
haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Strange Thing
check
About
it
the
out.
Johnsons is one. It's very weird. It's a good film though.
Very cool. So how did it come about that what interested you in the role?
I feel like the thing that interested me in the role was probably just because it was a horror film and I had never auditioned for horror before, so I was really looking forward to doing that. And they sent the script with the audition, so I actually got to read it, and I think it was one of the best scripts that I have ever read in my entire life. You could just see every moment so perfectly laid out, and I immediately knew that I like had to get that role. I was like, I need to get in this movie. I will do anything to make it happen. And very luckily I did. So I was very lucky in that aspect.
Do you remember what scene it was that you in the audition?
I'm trying to remember. Oh God. I don't think I can remember. It was a while ago. I think it was the beginning scene where she's in the treehouse and the dad comes up. I don't know if or the mom. Yeah, I don't think the scene that was for the audition ended up making it in the final cut. So I can't really show you guys what the scene was.
Yeah. For Charlie yourself, like, how much the finished product, like, how much of that was in the script? Like, did the character change like as you were filming it?
I don't think the character really changed. The characters were really, really well developed. So a lot of the things that you see in the film, most of them, I would say like 99% are scripted. And even with the clicks for Charlie, that was in the script. So it was a very well thought out film. I think Ari had worked on it for like 5 years before we even started filming or something.
Yeah. Well, something like that though, the mouth click, like, if someone does it for you, understand, but if you read it in the script, like, what does that read like, I guess?
It's an interesting thing to kind of read. I feel like me and Ari, we actually spent like a 30-minute meeting just like figuring out what that specific sound was going to be, because it needed to be something memorable. It needed to be something unique enough that you know what it is, but it also needed to feel very natural. And so we spent a long time just trying to translate that from the script to being like a real thing. And then we finally figured it out.
Yeah. I mean, something. Do people do that to you? Like when they meet you, do they do the mouth click?
Not too often. Some people have done it. Sometimes my friends will do it just to like pester me as much as possible.
To be
but
annoying.
not too many people.
Yeah. I was gonna do it to open the show, but
Go ahead if you ever feel the need to do it.
I don't know if I did it right, but maybe we can have a contest who can do the best the click. Did you actually have a name for it, like on set?
I think we just called it the click. It was very funny though, because occasionally we would do pickups on set. So I would just be standing like in like a room with no one else but the sound guy, and we would just like they're like, all right, just keep clicking. We just want to get as many options as we can. And then for like a solid minute or something, you're just doing the same sound in different ways over and over again, which is always a pretty awkward thing, just be standing there. But it was kind of funny, probably.
Yeah. So that Hereditary was your first feature, right?
Yeah, Hereditary was the first film that I had ever done, so it was very exciting.
Mm-hmm. How was that to go from? Because if people don't know, you do a lot of you did theater work. So how different is that theater acting for screen acting compared to
I
screen
would
acting?
say it's very different with theater. Everyone, like your audience is very, very far away. So you have to be a lot bigger. And I was in musical theater too, especially. So that's very, very different from film. So it was a bit of a hard transition, but everyone was like very welcoming and stuff. So they made sure that I felt like prepared and knew what I was doing. And it was a very exciting experience. I always love doing things that I don't know how to do. I feel like it's a fun risk that I can take.
Mm-hmm. You think we'll ever see a Hereditary the musical?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it'd be very interesting. I don't quite know how that would be portrayed, but I'm always down. So,
Yeah. Over the last few years, they have put out some weird musicals, like Reanimator the musical, and I went to see Silence of the Lamb musical. So you never know, I guess.
yeah. Hereditary the musical, next big thing.
Right. Next
Maybe.
Halloween, someone needs to get to work on it. Yeah. And they need they need one of the songs needs to be all done with clicks, mouth clicks.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree on that part. Just like a 3 minute like ballad of just clicks.
Exactly. Right. Tristan, do you have a question?
So your sister's an actress too, and you guys perform and collaborate as the Shapiro Sisters. I'm wondering if you could talk about that relationship and that act.
Yeah, so right after I did Matilda, which was my first like big job, me and my sister, we did a series of cabarets together. We'd always wanted to work together. We just I guess we decided to do it. I love my sister. We get along probably very well. I don't know how well other siblings get along, but we get along very well. And so I love performing with her. She's a very talented actress and singer, and so it's always very fun to perform with her.
So, when you first met Ari, what were like your initial thoughts of him?
He's a very nice person. I think that was my first thought. Was that he was like a very shy and nice person, which you wouldn't really expect from reading the script. I feel like there's so many people that are in horror that are just like the nicest people you'll ever meet. I don't know
I
why,
agree with
but
that.
that's
Yeah.
generally how it goes. And yeah, I remember like after I met him, we had like a director's like audition, and so I he gave me notes and I did the scenes, and we like worked together on it. And then right before I left, I like just had to tell him how much I loved the script, and I had read it like 3 or 4 times, and I felt like he was very surprised by that. I was like, I loved the script, man. I read it like 5 times already. So yeah, he's just a very nice dude.
What was he like? One thing, meeting him before you start to make the movie. What was he like as a director?
He's a very great director. He's very great to work with. He's very nice. He gives direction in a way that's like very easy to understand, so you can always kind of understand what he's going for, which I am always appreciative of as an actor. And he has a very clear vision in his mind of what he wants to do. So everyone's kind of working together to bring that vision to life, and it's he always tells you exactly what he wants, and I always love that because then you know what you're doing.
Right. Were you? Did you get a chance to be around Alex Wolff a lot before? Because it seems very natural, like the sibling
Yeah, before we
connection.
filmed, we actually did a lot of like outings where we would have like goals we would have to complete. So it'd be things like you two have to, in character, go get lunch together or go out and buy a hoodie and stuff like that. So we had a lot of time to kind of explore that sibling relationship in character. And a fun fact, me and Alex actually went to the same school. So we had already kind of known each other beforehand, but he was in the high school very, very popular. And I was very unpopular in the middle school. So we didn't cross paths too often, but we knew of each other.
Interesting. Because I think if it feels like, obviously he loves your, the characters love each other, but also he's kind of annoyed at the same time, which to me it seems very realistic.
Yeah, I feel like with any sibling relationship there's always going to be some tension. You're just around each other so often, and you have been forever, but that's why you can act not always like perfect around your sibling, because they know you and that they love you. So siblings, it's an interesting time.
Yeah. Well, Troy here's my brother, and I know from experience he's always very annoyed with me.
Untrue. Completely untrue. I think because we have a big age gap. I think, a 9-year gap.
Yeah, Troy's much older.
Works well. Yep. Ancient, in fact.
Trista, do you have another question?
I'm wondering if you have any allergies in real life.
I actually do. I'm allergic to cats, to dogs, to eggs, and then I'm deathly allergic to red ants. So I actually have had an anaphylactic allergic reaction before. Don't recommend. It's not a time, but I'll
cross it off my list to do.
Yeah. Just like, I don't recommend. But it was kind of funny for me because I had that type of allergic reaction before. So it was interesting auditioning for a character. And I think everyone on set thought it was kind of funny that I was like, yeah, been there, done that. We all lived through it once. So I just kind of think it's funny.
I would assume that would help with for that scene.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely helped because I had a bit more of an understanding of what that situation is like, having gone through it. But it was my favorite scene to film. It was very challenging, and I really enjoyed doing it.
Again, about you and Alex, like I was wondering, like after you're done with the movie, do you have more of an appreciation of like that time together for the role? Like I would think maybe when you're doing that, you don't know how much it's going to help you while you're doing it until like after it's done.
Yeah, I definitely think it was the right decision. I definitely think it made everything a lot easier when we were filming to have that kind of like relationship already set. So we already kind of knew what the dynamic was going in. And definitely afterwards, and especially looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, that was a very good idea. So I'm definitely glad that we did that.
Yeah. Was that the hoodie that you guys went out and bought that you were in the movie?
No, I wish it was. That would have been very interesting, but it was not.
Yeah, it seemed a little more lived in than a new hoodie, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually distressed it a lot because when I did the audition and the screen test kind of thing, I was picking at my sleeves, and so they decided to add it as like a thing to the character. So they distressed the edge of the sweater. So an interesting tidbit right there.
Yeah. Well, I think the characters do seem very real anyway. Like you said, like it's not like a brand new sweater. It's a sweatshirt. It's kind of worn. And I also noticed you and Alex a lot in the movie are kind of sweaty. Which you don't always see in movies.
Yeah, there were times where I would be on set and Ari would say stuff like, Milly looks too good right now. Like, what did you do? And the makeup people would be like, sorry, mate. And then they would like do stuff. It's a horror movie. Not everyone's going to look their best because that's not realistic. So,
right.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with Alex?
Not too much. Whenever we see each other, it's like, oh my God, how are you? But everyone's so busy. So it's hard to kind of keep in touch with everyone and keep track of everyone.
Did you get a chance to do anything similar with Toni Collette? Toni Collette, sorry.
I actually didn't. We did, I think, one kind of, not outing, but me, Toni, and Alex, we all had a read through of the script before we started filming, where we kind of just like went through all the motions and read everything together and met each other. But Toni's great. She's a wonderful actress. I was so happy to work with her.
What did you, it's obviously when you're on set, you're in a movie stuff. But when you see the finished movie after it's got the score and it's edited together, what did you think of the film?
I think it's an amazing film. I always think it's weird watching yourself. The best way I can describe it is it's like watching a puppet of your body do things, because it's you, but it's not quite you. So it's always weird. And watching a film with you in it, I always say, is a very odd experience, but it's a wonderful film. And I'm so grateful to have been a part of it.
Did you watch it with an audience?
Yeah, the first time I saw it was the first showing at Sundance. The only thing I'd seen beforehand was the decapitation allergic reaction sequence, because I had to do ADR because they wanted to get more breathing. And so I saw it beforehand, but I hadn't seen any of the other bits of the film. So the first time I ever saw it all together was at Sundance with a huge audience, which is always a very exciting thing to do.
You are on the station of decapitation. So what was that like to watch yourself be decapitated? It's one of the most memorable decapitations, I think, in film.
Yeah, I say it was very weird watching myself be decapitated. I think it's very cool. You get to like see yourself die without actually having to die. So
Right.
Kind of nice in that aspect.
Yeah, I assume, I don't know, I've never been decapitated, but if you are, I'm not sure if you get to see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you get to see it. So you get to kind of see, like, if I was ever to be decapitated, it might kind of look like this. So it's just like warming me up for when I eventually get decapitated. Just like seeing what it's going to be like.
Hopefully it's a long, long time from now.
Yeah.
Or possibly never. I guess it's probably the best.
You never know. You never know when you're going to get decapitated. It's always a surprise.
You said the also allergic to fire ants, and I don't know if they're fire ants, but your decapitated head is a spoiler alert. Sorry, but it's covered in ants after the next day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was that just a coincidence.
I think it was just a coincidence. Yeah, there's a lot of always with that sort of thing. There's always a bunch of fun coincidences that kind of happen. My friends always tease me about it. I just think it's kind of funny.
Did you watch it with? Have your parents seen the movie?
Yeah, my parents have seen it. My mom saw it with me the first time I saw it. Ari actually showed her the decapitation sequence before we
it might be a little strange, right?
Yeah, your parents might want to see that beforehand. My friends, when they saw it, I always love watching it with people for the first time when I know them, because I think it's always very entertaining. One of my friends was just laughing the whole time. She thought it was really funny that I was in a movie. We've known each other for way too long. And then my other friend, who absolutely hates horror, was like sitting practically in my lap because she was like, I'm gonna support you, I'm gonna see it, but then she was also very, very terrified. And I had one friend that went without me and saw it, and they had to leave because they got too scared to finish it, and I don't think they ever ended up finishing it.
I assume it's hard to watch it for yourself or even your friends, like as a movie, as opposed to like, this is my friend in the movie or this is me in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like it might be interesting to watch your friend get decapitated. I don't think many people can say they've seen that.
I'm one of those people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. Well, actually, I think I have seen Trista decapitated in a film. Now that I think about it. Do you have a question, Trista?
So when you auditioned for Hereditary, was it a self-tape or were you in the room?
It was an in-person audition with casting. It was taped there. So the tape was then sent out to the producers and Ari. And then I had another call back, and that was also taped. And that was with casting. And then we had a director's meeting where I met Ari for the first time, and we just kind of read through everything again and got notes and stuff like that. But it was a very exciting experience. I did not think I got the part at all for some reason, which I always think is funny. Whenever I end up getting the part, I always think with the last audition, I'm like, oh, I bombed it. There's no way I'm getting it now. And then I ended up getting it, which is always a very exciting thing.
Before it comes out, when you're on the poster and really showcased a lot in the trailer and stuff, what's that experience like? Because you really became, a big part of the visual of the advertisements for it.
It was pretty wild. I remember when they first started putting posters up, my friends were walking home from school one day. I wasn't there. I was, I think, in LA or something at the time. And they were walking home from school, and there's a movie theater on the way back. And they look at the movie theater, and there's like a 2-story poster of my face. And they like FaceTime me immediately, and we're freaking out. And it's just like very weird because you're like, that's me. That's my face right there. And it's very weird. And a lot of the times I would be like walking by posters and stuff, and people just don't even notice because it's so out of context that they don't really make the connection, which I just think is really funny.
Yeah. That's a weird question, but do you collect any of that stuff? Any of like the poster art or anything?
Not too much, but my dad does. My dad has like a huge Hereditary
That's nice.
poster.
Yeah. That might be weird too, I guess. So if you go over to his house and he's got a big poster of you.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can autograph it though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was the reaction from your father for the movie?
He really liked it. He loves horror. He was always trying to get me into horror as a kid, and I was like not having it. But he really loved it. Everyone in my family really loved it.
Oh, that's cool. Well, do you know what any of the movies he tried to get you to watch?
Pet Cemetery was one. He and my sister and I were watching it. And I left halfway through. Once the cat like came back alive, I was just too freaked out by it. I was like, no, I'm not having it. And I went in the other room and I was watching Scooby-Doo. But then anytime there was a really, really loud noise, I'd always peek out to be like, what is going on? And then like I didn't sleep for a very long time because it freaked me out. And I still haven't gone back and watched it. I need to at some point. But it's in the past for me. You know, it's scared me as a kid.
I understand. Yeah, that's a good one though. I agree with your dad. It's a good one. You should watch it. Trista, do you have another question?
Watching the film, I couldn't really ascertain where you guys shot. Where did you shoot is the question.
We filmed in Utah. So all of the things that were filmed at the school were filmed in not Park City, Salt Lake City. And then all of the things at the house were filmed in City, words. But yeah, we filmed in Utah. It was off season, so there's like no one there, which was very nice. And it's a very beautiful place to film. And me and my friend, we ended up driving around, and we found snow in the middle of June. And it snowed when I was there twice, and we were filming in the summer, which is a very weird experience. But Utah's a very beautiful place, so it's really fun to film there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I've never been to Utah myself either. So. Oh, what was it? When did you know like acting was something you wanted to pursue?
I think the first time I really realized it was something I wanted to pursue was I was 3 and I saw Cats, a touring production in Tampa, and I turned to my mom afterwards and I was like, I'm gonna do that. Like, I need to make this happen. And then I started taking voice lessons and then eventually acting, but it was always something I wanted to do, and it was always something that was on my radar. I think the first time I really had an interest in anything in the arts was I wanted to be the voice of Barbie because I watched so many Barbie movies as a kid, but it was always something I wanted to do. So I'm very happy that I got to do it.
Yeah. Have you ever got to perform in Cats?
No, sadly. Maybe I will one day, but I'm not much of a dancer, so who knows?
All right. You missed the chance on the big movie last year.
I know. It's a horror in its own right, too. So
it is. I agree. I wasn't sure how you felt about the film version, but
yeah, it's interesting. CGI can be a very hit or miss thing.
Yes. There's a lot of questions here on the Facebook page. John Dugan, our friend John Dugan from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he wants to know about winning the Tony Award.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Because of Matilda, me and the other Matildas were awarded a Tony honor for excellence in theater, which is very wild. And I don't think I realized how big of a deal it was until I was much older, because I was 10 at the time. So when you're 10, you're just like, oh, this is just a fun thing. But it was the first trophy I ever won. So it was very exciting. And it's just like a wonderful thing. And I'm so lucky to have been a part of it.
Along those lines, I forget, I saw it earlier in another post. But anyway, someone asked, when people were talking about Hereditary being up for Oscars, like, what was that experience like? And do you think, I can't say do you think it should have been because you're in the movie. That's a weird question, but
Yeah, it was very wild. I think Ari's a great director, so I think eventually he will definitely win an Oscar for something. But it was very weird. A lot of people would be like, do you think Hereditary is going to get an Oscar? Like, what's going on with that? And I'm like, I have no idea, so I can't tell you. But I think Hereditary is a great film. I think Midsommar is a great film. Ari just creates very good things, so I'm excited to see what happens for him in the future.
When Hereditary was out and it really started to do well, and people, like I said when I opened the show, people did start calling it right away a modern, horror classic. What was going through your mind? Like, hey, I'm in this movie that is probably going to be something people remember for a long time.
I think it's weird because I feel like because I'm in it, I have such a bias towards it where I'm like, yeah, of course it's a good movie. But then other people are like, yeah, it's a really good movie. And I'm like, you're right there. So I'm excited to see how well it stays in the public eye or in people's minds. I know there's a lot of people that have hereditary tattoos, which I just think is
Oh
very
wow!
cool. So
Any of your character?
yeah, there's actually a few people that have my face as a tattoo, which is a very cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. You were thinking seeing the posters weird, but if you walk up to somebody and they got your face right there, it's even stranger, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting thing that not a lot of people can say that someone has a tattoo of them.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I did see that you're doing your first horror movie festival coming up.
Yeah, yeah. It was supposed to be this year, but it's going to be next
Right.
year. It's in Texas. I'm very excited for it. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully COVID will have a better situation then. And
Yeah.
I just always love meeting people. So I think it will be a very fun experience.
Yeah. Now it's a Houston Horror Film Festival, and like I said, it's been rescheduled to June 25th through 27th. Hopefully, you know what happens. We'll all see, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I like conventions. I think you have a good time. Trista, do you have another question?
I think it's so interesting to be transitioning from a child actor to an adult actor. And I'm wondering how you manage that and it, if you feel like you're uh, being able to take on more mature roles.
Um, that's a good question. I just turned 18, so now I'm starting to get a lot more roles that are just 18 and up, which is usually for a lot of horror, a lot of things that are darker context. I think it's very interesting. It's definitely giving me a lot more opportunities to audition for a lot more things, which I am very appreciative of. But it's also hard because I'm in college right now, so I'm kind of stretched a bit thin, but I always love being able to do a ton of different things. So I think it's always a bit of a hard transition being known as being a child actor going into an adult actor, but I think it's a fun time. So I'm excited to see what happens next.
When you say that about like offered some horror stuff, like are you into doing more horror movies? And at the same time, do you want to like are you ever apprehensive about like I don't want to do like another role that's like just like Charlie? I don't know if like so I assume sometimes people would offer roles that are similar to a role that you're popular for.
I'm always down for doing more horror. I would probably just not want to do a role that's very similar to Charlie just because I love doing new things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it wouldn't be as much fun if I was doing a role that was similar to something I had done before. So I'm always down for horror as long as it's kind of a bit different. But I love just playing a bunch of different roles in any genre. Anything that's different or I haven't done before, I'm always excited about.
Do you know any of the movies coming up for the Airbnb spooky movies you guys are going to be watching for Halloween?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'll probably watch Midsummer because my friends love it. Two of my friends, it's actually their favorite film. So we'll probably watch a bunch of stuff like that. Maybe we'll watch some Saw. Maybe Scream. That's always a good one. I'm not too sure what specifically though.
Very cool. I'm glad that they like Midsummer too. I like Midsummer as well. And if they ever, it doesn't seem like a movie they would do a sequel to Hereditary, but obviously Charlie would not be in it, I assume.
Yeah, I remember at the wrap party, we were making jokes that there was going to be a Hereditary 2, and everyone who died would miraculously not be dead, and it would be very funny. I think Gabe ended up saying something, yeah, your head's going to get screwed back on, and it turns out it wasn't me that was burned in the corner, it was someone else, and then it'll all be jazz hands and sunshine or something like that, which I just think is very funny.
Uh-huh. Well, you could reprise the role though in this in the musical that I've been pushing here. Gonna get to work on the script. Trista, you have another question?
I find a lot of humor in Ari Aster's work, in both Hereditary and Midsummer, and often I feel like I'm the only person laughing. I must have just like a deadpan, dark sense of humor. I'm wondering if you find any humor in either of those films.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of humor and just situations where you can't help but laugh because of like the intensity of the moment. Whenever I see Ari films, especially in New York, everyone is laughing, which I always think is very funny because you're hearing a bunch of people like screaming, gasping, but then there's also a lot of laughter, which I think is a very good balance because you need a bit of everything to have a very entertaining movie.
Interesting. Yeah. Maybe you have the New York sense of humor, Trista.
Yeah. So just come
I'm from New York, so that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Thank
yes.
you for explaining this to me, Milly.
Very good. Let's see. Leslie Marie wants she wants to know what's your favorite hobby? Interesting question.
Interesting question. I would say my favorite hobby, which I do not do often enough, is paint weird Kermit paintings, like this one back here.
Really? Oh, very cool.
There. There's another one on my other wall. It's an addiction. I don't know how to describe it. That and playing ukulele, which I'm not very good at either, but I think it's very fun.
I bought a ukulele when I was in the Catskills in Woodstock because I thought it'd be cool. I bought a ukulele in Woodstock, but I've not learned to play it. It's something I probably should have done during the pandemic here. Took some. Do you have any recommendations on how to learn to play the ukulele?
It's actually pretty simple to learn. The chords are fairly easy because it's a 4-stringed instrument. And because the strings are not metal, it is not as painful to learn as guitar is. Yeah, I would say how I learned is I picked like 1 or 2 songs that I really, really wanted to know how to play. And then I just learned the chords for them. And a lot of songs have very similar chords. So once you know like 4 or 5, you can play like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of ukulele in the Hereditary musical.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be a whole experience.
Right, yeah.
And really jazz hands. We need jazz hands too.
Yeah, that's how we're going to get Gabriel Byrne involved. Right. Yeah. By the way, what was Gabriel Byrne like?
Gabriel's very nice. I didn't get to see him too much because we don't have too much together. But I remember I had a long conversation with him about tea, which I always enjoy. I drink way too much tea. I'm very much a tea person. He was like, this is how you make a proper cup of tea. American tea sucks. And I'm like, all right, you got me there.
I will agree with that. Lipton is like what you get like everywhere. It's not good. Tastes like green beans, in my opinion.
Yeah, American tea is not the best.
No, if you're going to like plain black tea, you want English tea. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I always think is a very interesting thing. Like on the horror set, I think it was when we were filming the funeral things. Me and Alex and Gabe, we were having a whole conversation about tea for like an hour, which I just think is very funny.
Did he have it besides just getting English tea? Is there any Gabriel Byrne secret tips on tea drinking or brewing?
I think he said something about heating up the cup so it's the same temperature and heating the milk, if I'm remembering. Yeah, he was like going on. It's like a whole process, and I'm like, mate, that's like great. I need to do that at some point.
I'm taking notes on this. I need to drink tea just like Gabriel Byrne. Craig Lindbergh, he wants to know your reaction to the fake out that she meets with such a demise when the storyline seemed to make her character like the main character to watch.
I think it was a very interesting approach. I definitely think it added a lot. Because if you think it wasn't expected, I loved that it wasn't expected. And That was always kind of the direction they were going for. They didn't want any of it spoiled, which I thought was very interesting for horror, because a lot of the time with horror movie trailers, you get a lot of the gore and a lot of the like big spoils. Like, you don't know how it happened, but you know what happened. And I really loved that you kind of went in not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah, I agree. And I like when I mentioned about you being a lot of the poster art and stuff. I think that adds to the surprise because I think, especially when I watched it the first time, it's like you don't, this character's not going to die already in the movie because it's probably the main character. And like you said, it's shocking, and you at that point in time you're invested in the character, so it's also heartbreaking, and then you see everyone's reaction to it. This is actually an interesting question. Leslie wants to know, what's your favorite scene of Hereditary that doesn't involve Charlie?
My favorite scene, I feel like probably the scene where Tony's in the car and you hear the click, which kind of involves Charlie, but the seance leading up to that, because you have all this pressure that doesn't really like get released, and so you're so anxious, not really knowing what comes next, and then all of a sudden you hear that sound, and like every time I've seen it with other people, there's always like gasping, jumping, and it's like almost like the largest reaction out of any point of the movie, which is it's like such a small thing, but it always has like the largest reaction.
Mm-hmm. By the way, seance, you have any experience with that?
Not really. Me and my friends, we've done the Ouija board thing before, but nothing really happened. I feel like everyone's probably done that. Just make sure you don't accidentally like summon a demon or something. Hasn't happened to me, so I can't tell you how to not do it. But yeah, I feel like I haven't really had too much experience with the paranormal. I'm always down for it though. So like if any ghosts want to hit me up, let me know.
All right. They can follow you on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, via Instagram's good. Like whatever works best for you. Just let me know.
Yeah. So try not to get decapitated and don't accidentally summon a demon. Those are two of the things we've learned.
Yeah.
Good PSAs. I like that it's accidentally, because if that's your goal, I guess,
Yeah, if it's the goal, then it like, all right, like have fun, do what you want, but like don't do it by accident. Like you gotta have the intention there to make it worth it.
I agree. Yeah. Any more questions, Trista?
I'm sure you learned so much working on Hereditary. I'm wondering, it might be a tricky question, but what do you think was the most profound lesson you got out of the experience?
Oh God, that is a very good question. I just think I learned so much just about acting and like being on set. I think I learned a lot. It definitely like led me to where I am now. Like because now I'm in film school, not on the acting side, on the more making side, and I definitely wouldn't have even thought that was an idea without Hereditary. And as I'm learning a lot, I realize I have a lot of just prior knowledge from being on set and like meeting all these like really talented people and like hearing them work. And so I think it was just like such a great learning experience that I just got so much knowledge and so many different things just by being there.
Oh, when did that interest start to want to make movies?
It was definitely an interest I had for a while. I would usually make movies so I could be in them as a kid, and a lot of like just random things with friends that I would do. And I never really thought it was something that I could seriously go into. And I was thinking about what I wanted to do for college and if I wanted to go. And I was like, I might just go for acting or something. And then Ari was like, what if you did film? And I was like, oh, I should try that. And like, it was just like, until I heard someone say it, I didn't realize how much it was something that I was interested in. Because whenever I'm watching a movie, I'm like, oh, I probably would have done this differently or something like that. And so it was something that was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't realize it until someone said it, which I feel like is always kind of true. You don't really realize how interested you are in something until it's like, what if you actually did that? And you're like, oh, maybe I should do that.
Well, it's nice that he's supportive. Do you still stay in contact with Ari at all?
Yeah, I try to stay in contact with him fairly often. He's always very busy. So, whenever I see him, it's always very great.
What kind of stuff are you interested in making?
I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of trying to figure out what my style is and what genre. I kind of just want to make as many different things as possible because then I can kind of figure out what I like doing. And I think that's why school is a great place to do that. I can kind of make whatever I want and test a bunch of things out.
Do you think, well, two questions, I guess. Have the background in acting, do you think that helps you in learning to make films? And do you think, I know you just started, but anything you've learned on the side of filmmaking, has that helped you as an actor?
I feel like I have a lot of help because I was an actor, especially for on the directing side of things, because a lot of directing is working with actors, and having been an actor, I kind of know where they're coming from and I know how I would approach things. So I feel like I got, in a way, a leg up in that situation. And I feel like being like learning a bit more about like the film side of things, like it's helped a bit with acting. I'm not sure too much yet, but I'm excited to see what I can learn from both sides.
I mentioned earlier about the film festival coming up, and I saw you gave out an award on a virtual festival recently. So is that something you've like started to get involved in, like the horror community?
I love the horror community. Everyone in the community is very nice, and I love meeting people in the community. I'm always involved whenever I can. I would love to be involved more. I think it's just like such a great community. I feel like everyone that is interested in horror is so nice, which is always very refreshing. But yeah, maybe I'll be more involved at some point, but I'm always down for involvement.
Um, have you watched any recent horror movies that you like?
Oh God, I'm trying to think of what I've seen recently. Oh, I just watched I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is more of a thriller than a horror. I watched it with a friend and we were both very confused. I feel like Toni's in that one too, so that was very cool to see her in a different role. But it is a very wild movie, and I was very lost for most of it, which I always love. And I was like trying to feel like me and my friend, we were both making theories about what was happening. We're like, what if it's this? And trying to figure out what was going on. But I thought it was a very good movie.
The book's kind of like that too, where you're kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
this can't be happening. How can this be? And things like that. I haven't seen the movie yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working on anything currently?
Not too much right now. I'm working on a short film with one of my friends, more on the directing side that we're starting to put together. So that is going to be fun. I was just in a short film called Monkey Bars. I'm not quite sure where you can watch it. And then I may have stuff coming up in the future that I can't quite talk about yet. That's figuring out stuff for COVID reasons. So, I'm always doing something.
How has that changed plans for you this year? I mean, everyone's in the same boat, I guess.
I feel like it's changed a lot, especially because I am in college right now. So, um, most of my classes are virtual. A lot of the things that I kind of thought I was going to do, I can't really do anymore because of COVID. And it's also hard with being an actor or filmmaker or anything right now because for sets, you can only have a few people and you have to be very careful because of COVID. And so trying to like find like a balance between doing the things that I like and like being safe is always like a thing that I think we're all kind of figuring out right now.
Yeah. For you, what do you think of the virtual classes?
I think they work well for me. I actually did virtual school for the last 2 years of high school. I definitely enjoy in-person classes, but I'm very happy that they are still having classes at all, even in a virtual way, just because I don't think it's that safe for people to be going to in-person classes all the time right now. It's a very crazy time. We're still figuring everything out. So luckily my school's being very, very careful. We're getting tested every week and nobody's hanging out in big groups and everyone's wearing masks all the time. So we're trying to stay safe as we all are trying to right now.
Yeah. Tristan, do you have another question?
You mentioned that you're allergic to cats and dogs, so I'm wondering if you had any other sorts of pets.
I have two dogs actually, even though I am allergic to
Really?
dogs. They are very wild. I miss them so, so much. Yeah, my dog, his name is Benjamin. He's acts like a cat. He's very expressive. He has like different barks for anything he wants, so you can always tell exactly what he wants. He's very cute though. My sister sends me pictures of them like every day, which I love.
What's the other one's name?
Nelly. It's very similar to mine. I think my sister was just trying to discreetly name her dog after me, but she'll never admit it, so.
You don't mean fire ant pets, though.
No, sadly I don't. One day maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
It'll
Ant
add a
farm,
little
I guess.
thrill.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Get a little leash for him.
Yeah, like you do with ants.
Right. I saw you also did a Charlie Brown musical, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, I was in that when I was in 8th grade, so it was a bit of a while ago. It was very fun. I made one of my best friends there, Josh. But it was a very fun show to do.
Were you familiar with the because I grew up with Charlie Brown, so it kind of seems like I don't know if people today know Charlie Brown. Like did you know who he was? Like were
I
you familiar
definitely
with?
knew Charlie Brown. I would always read the comics, so I had a love for it. So it was very exciting for me to kind of bring characters from that to life by being in that show.
Oh, very cool. You were Sally, I believe.
Yeah.
Are there any clips of that anywhere? Do you know?
I think there are some on YouTube, but I'm not too sure. But there's probably some on YouTube. And they did a cast recording, which is on iTunes. So if you ever want to listen to it, it's there.
Yeah. For the music of you and your sister, where can people find that?
It's also on iTunes. So Apple Music, I think it's there. iTunes, you can listen to all of the cast recordings I've been on there if you ever want to. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Any plans to do any future things with your sister music wise?
I'm not too sure right now. We're both pretty busy, but I am working on some other music stuff with a friend. I'm not quite sure when that will be out or what we're gonna release stuff, but it's always very fun.
Yeah. Well, then you gotta work on the Hereditary musical. With the
Yeah, that's my
ukulele.
next step for sure.
Right. I'll get in touch with you for. Trista, do you have any more questions?
Would you be interested in making a film that's a musical?
Um, I think it would be very fun to do. I'm always down for that. I love musicals, so I would
I
always
do
be
too,
down for
actually.
that.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite musical?
Oh God, I think my favorite musical at the moment is Jagged Little Pill, which is a musical that used the music of Alanis Morissette,
I'm
which
not
I
familiar
really,
with
really
this.
enjoyed. I actually got to see it right before COVID shut Broadway down, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I would say at the moment that's my favorite, but it changes all the time.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that. That actually sounds very good. And that's like music I grew up with.
Yeah, it's a very good show.
How about movie wise? Do you have a favorite musical film?
Oh God. I love Little Shop of Horrors.
I
I
do too.
think that's a great musical movie. We were just talking about it in one of my classes the other day. I just think it's a very fun movie, and the musical is a lot sadder than the movie is. The movie has a happy ending, so that's
Yeah,
always
because I saw the musical the first time I was in LA when I was 16, and yeah, it's a much spoiler alert, but the plants win at the end, and they even dropped like big vines on the people when I was there. It was very cool. But
fun.
yeah, I guess a lot of times for movie they want a happier ending in a movie.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend if anyone gets a chance to see Little Shop of Horrors. I love the movie, but seeing it live is a different experience.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a wonderful show to see live.
Yeah. I mentioned the Instagram, but where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Milly Shapiro. You can follow me at TikTok at Milly Chaperoni. I'm on Twitter also as Milly Shapiro, and that's where you can find me. Feel free to follow me if you want. I make subpar content on all of my platforms, so look out for it.
I have to admit I know what TikTok is, but I'm not really familiar with it because
Mhm.
I'm an old man. But so what kind of stuff do you put on the TikTok?
Oh God, that's a good question. A bunch of stuff. I kind of just do whatever I want. TikTok's a very fun app. It's just a bunch of short videos. I would say that's what TikTok is. It's a very fun app though. There's a lot of like cool people and like subcultures on TikTok that are really fun. So you can kind of find everyone can find something for them, which I love about the app.
All right, very good. I'll have to follow. I'll look up your TikToks here. I don't know if that's even how you say it. The TikTok. It's probably not. I'm sure. All right. So, is there ever going to be a Matilda movie?
I'm not sure. Hopefully. I love the musical. It's a lot more similar to the book, which I always loved the book growing up. It's a lot darker than the movie is. So maybe that's why I liked it. But hopefully there will be. I think it would be a good movie musical.
Yeah. Very good. Well, this has been really fun to talk with you.
Yeah, it's been great.
And I hope you get to see some cool movies for Halloween.
Yes, I hope I do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't say I hope I don't get to. That would be very bizarre.
Yeah.
Hope I see some really bad movies this Halloween.
I guess that could be fun too.
Going on a Sharknado marathon.
Honestly, I've done that before at the beach. It's pretty fun. Honest. Sometimes we need like a not that great movie marathon.
True. Very true.
Very good. All right. Anything you want to tell everybody out there before we let you go?
Stay safe and wear your mask, please. And remember to vote. Please do that as well. Very important.
I agree on we all agree on all those things.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
the mask is important and it's so easy. There's no reason to to get all crazy about it. So yeah, I agree. I'm trying to get a video right here ready. So, but anyway, it's been awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I've had a great time.
Very good. And we're gonna play a
wish all
video
the best.
here.
Good luck with everything.
Yes. Whoops. We're gonna close out with a video here from Sue's Linear Bramlett, but just a couple quick things about Without Your Head. Next week we'll be here with CJ Graham, who was Jason Voorhees of Friday the 13th Part 6. Coming up October 18th, you can see Trista's UK TV premiere of her film Echoes of Fear, and that'll be on the Horror Channel. And a big thanks to all the people who have donated to the website: Mike Fink, Steven Simmons, Vic Schiavone, Brian Clutter, Gogo13, Nikhil Callahan, Peggy Small, James Lamont, and Stephen Butler. It helps pay for the site, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Folks.
Thank you, Millie. Thank you
Yes,
again.
thank you, Millie. It's
Yeah.
been great.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Happy
Take
Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Suze Lanier Bramlett here, the original Brenda from Wes Craven's The Original Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, but right now I want to talk about voting. This is a picture of my dad. Now, he was neither a loser or a sucker, as Trump has referred to our servicemen and women who sacrifice their lives daily to defend democracy. Like John McCain, my dad was caught, captured, and tortured in World War II, fighting a vicious dictator who killed millions of people. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had it with this current administration. I would love to have a president who represents decency, someone who doesn't lie, someone who's not afraid to show his tax returns, someone who believes in science, not just padding their own pocketbook, and someone who wants to unite the people, not divide them. I hope you're registered to vote, and please consider supporting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in this most important election of my lifetime, and probably yours too. Biden-Harris 2020. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.